Have you been struggling to make consistent profits in the forex market or not had enough time to analyze the market and trade? At MMK, we have experienced and qualified traders who analyze the markets and send signals directly to your phone. We are highly selective traders and we provide 5 to 10 signals weekly and a minimum pip count of 1,000 pips monthly. Join the winning team and stop donating your money to brokers. Hi guys, welcome back. We're back with another video, and today I'm going to be giving you a very powerful setup that will definitely take your trading to another level if you apply it the right way. Now, as always, I'll always mention that when it comes to forex, being patient is very important, and you need to understand the probability behind the setup and the importance of waiting for it. Right, so this type of setup, right, it happens in all markets. Right, for those people who've been trading BTMM, you should have an idea of this type of setup, but some people do not know the power of such a setup. Right, so this is actually something that I took from my, this is something that I have up in my on my trading station, and we call this the ID50 setup. Right, so basically this setup occurs when the peak formation has been locked. Right, so once a peak formation has been locked, we will see that by a 13 and 50 crossover. I'm going to show you on the charts shortly. Right, and if you've caught the multi-session MOW, in this case if you've caught the peak, then you can use this setup to also scale in and maximize your gains. Right, if you've missed the peak, you can also use this setup to enter. Right, and this setup will have a high probability if there's an MOW presented. Right, meaning when this happens and we can identify an MOW, the probability is increased. Right, and we're also going to look for an entry once we see a close above or below the 13 EMA. This setup has a high probability of paying out when traded at the right time. Remember, timing is a very important element of the puzzle. Right, timing is a very important element of the puzzle. Right, and this can also be a safety trade. Right, after 1 times ADR, that can be a day of drop. Right, and if this trade does not shift, it is better to scratch out. Right, I made a typo there. And always maintain a stop loss between 15 to 25 pips depending on your risk appetite. And then we'll also look for TDI confirmation. Right, so if close above or below the 13 EMA is too big, it is better to wait for a pullback, or you may decrease your position size. Right, now for me, this is one of my best setups. So sometimes I can risk from 5 to 20%, but I do not advise you guys do that. Right, you need to master the setup first and understand what you're looking for. But this is one of my challenge setups where I can increase my risk here and there. Right, because it's not every trade that you're going to risk 20%. I mean, 20%, that's a huge amount. Right, but the only reason why I had this was because I had given myself a 20 trade challenge where I'll be, risking such amounts when it comes to the percentage. Right, so now let us go to a chart. The ID50 setup, we're basically going to be working with this blue EMA. This is what we call the 50 EMA, right? This is what we call 50 EMA. And then this red EMA that you can see right here, this is your 13 EMA, right? So remember, you can use this in any time frame, be it intraday, be it intra-week, right? I mean, you can find these setups in your 4-hour time frame, right? But as I said, right, it will not always happen all the time. But if you take your time to wait, right, and analyze, and back test and have a good understanding and a grasp of the setup. Okay, so now we're going to look for. I'm just going to go through some pairs, and I'm going to show you an example. Remember what I said? It will not happen on every pair or every week, but trust me, if you take your time to check this out, you will definitely be able to identify very good setups. right? So this one was a bit different. As you can see, if we look at Euro USD, it was clear to see that Euro USD was coming from a supply level, right? As you can see, we also have the 800 EMA in sight. So this is what we had. As you can see, after this week of drop, right, remember peak formation, as you can see, what happened in this week was the dealer pushed the market. So as you can see, some aggressive moves to the upside, right? And he violated the previous week high. As you can see, that week was ended right there. And then the next week, as you can see, manipulation, right? And definitely, as you can see, that would be your previous week high, which is an area where we can find, a bunch of stop losses there. Okay, and I mean, when you talk about smart money concepts, you can see we had relatively equal highs, as you can see, and then about those stops which are above this level were definitely taken out. So from there, as you can see, we had a nice drop. This drop, guys, as you can see, after that drop, we had a 1350 crossover, right? Once we have a 1350 crossover, this basically confirms that this peak formation has been locked, right? So as you can see, what happened here is we had a drop, base drop. So that area, right, sorry about that, right here we had a drop, base drop. So this area is very good. As you can see how price left that area, right? So to increase confluences, right, remember you need some factors of confluence. After a 1350, you look for a pattern to play out on that 50 EMA. It doesn't mean it will just bounce off the 50 EMA. No, there has to be a pattern and there has to be some confluence. In this case, we had a decision point, a nice order block. As you can see how price left that area. So once that happened, we can see we had the first leg and a nice second leg just above the 50 EMA. But the reason why you're going to have confidence in this trade was because we had a decision point just above this area. And as you can see, that's what's playing out right now, right? We can see the market is dropping. So this is basically what we call an ID50 setup. Right now, this is your 4-hour time frame. I'm just trying to show you that you can find this in any time frame, but guys, be it the daily, whatever time frame. Right? I mean, here's a nice example. Happened a while back. We had a 1350 crossover. After that, you wait for a pullback to that 50 EMA, right? But you need to have some factors of confluence, right? For me, I like seeing a nice OB, right? So you need to know what you're going to look for, guys, and there has to be an order block near that area. If you don't, for me, right, some people will just trade the bounce or the pin on this EMA, right? But for me, I like seeing a nice decision point before I'm interested in taking that trade. So this can be found in any time frame, guys. I mean, look at this, right? This happened today, guys. It's a Monday, right? After this manipulation happened just above the Asian box, right? And you can also see that this previous day on the Friday, it was violated, and you can see that was definitely a trap, guys. Went above all these areas, right? And then after that has happened, as I said, one of the criteria that we have here is if you have missed the peak, you may use this setup to enter, right? So in this case, if you're not sure, or maybe you missed, you're not on your terminal when this happened, you wait for a 1350 crossover. After a 1350 crossover, as you can see, we had a nice OB here, not really clean, but for intraday trading, that would be amazing. And as you can see, price got there, and then finally price got to that area, and an entry can be a close below the 13 EMA. And as you can see, this was a nice trade, guys. I mean, went down for over 30 pips, right? But as I said, being selective is very important. All right, so now let's carry on, and we're just going to look at the H4 and see if we can identify such behaviors or setups rather. All right, I mean, here was another one, Euro GBP, the peak formation, as you can see, a nice week of drop and a 1350 crossover, and then look at that, price pulled back to the 50 EMA. And remember what I said, one of the rules is this setup has a high probability of paying out. There's something I'm looking for. Sorry about that. Where is that? Okay, yeah, this setup will have a high probability if there's an M or W presented. So in this case, we didn't really have, much of an order block that I can say is strong, but it's still considered a supply zone, right? All goes with your rules, right? And then we had a nice first leg and a second leg. In this case, we had a second leg of a second leg, right? And as you can see, that was a nice trade from that area. This would have been a nice swing trade for you, right? So it does require patience, right? Also had another one, not really clean, all right? But remember, peak 1350, a nice pullback and a nice pattern just above and a nice drop. I mean, as you can see, it's a Monday and already this has dropped for very, good amounts of pips. If you had caught that today, this dropped for over 100 pips, right? So this setup, it needs a lot of, a back testing so you can master it. But trust me, it does appear on the market, right? But one factor of confluence that you can use is seeing an order block, right? Very, 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 very important. Right, they are everywhere, guys. So I'm not gonna go through go through every pair, but I'm just trying to show you that these setups are there. Of course, you won't find them on every setup, right? On every pair, sorry. But these setups are there. It does present. I mean, look at what's happening right now. We've got an interaction with that 50 EMA right there. Right, so this can also be a nice area for you. I mean, we've got breaks of structure. All right, a nice break of structure there. All right, so now price is playing around that area, which is very, very interesting. We'll see what happens, and then your targets can be all the way down here, right, where we've got this 800 EMA, and as you can see, if you look to the left, this is also a demand area. So this area can be a nice area for you to actually, keep an eye on for targets if this trade does play out. This actually looks very interesting, so I'll keep an eye on this for the week and see if I can get a nice entry, right? Usually this pair moves around Asian session, and I'm not really a fan of trading the Asian session, right? Because this is usually where there's not really much movement in the market, right? So I like trading London and New York, right? So you can definitely find this setup on any pair, guys, but of course you need to back test, you need to master it, right? It will always be there, be it whether you are an intraday trader or you're a swing trader. You will be able to find this. Remember, this is not a peak, this is more of a safer trade for you to take, right? I mean, look at that, 1350. It comes back for a nice bounce, and it's a nice OB, not bad, right? And then look at how price moved, right? These are the type of setups that you need to take advantage of, right? Because when they do move, especially if you're focusing more, on your H4 time frame. I like looking at that because it means I can get some good swings for the week. All right, so I hope you guys have learned something from this, right? Of course, you need to go and back test. This is interesting. Okay, a nice peak there, so I'll keep an eye on this also. How's the daily looking there? I mean, look at that, it's just bouncing off the 50 EMA, so I'll keep an eye on this because right now we've got a reset, right? That's a reset right there. So we'll keep an eye on that and see, because we already have a 1350 crossover, right? We already have a 1350 crossover. So we're just going to wait for a bounce on the 50 EMA if it does present. I mean, this can just continue falling, dropping, right? But if we do get that opportunity, then why not take advantage of the setup? And this can be found anyway, guys. I mean, look at that. It's there, guys. I mean, because after this 1350 crossover down here a few weeks back, this is now price making its move to the 50 EMA for the first time. And look at that. It was a nice trade, right? If you like trading gold, there. All right, it was not a bad trade at all. You can also use this on indices, right? I mean, look at that on NASDAQ recently. We had a 1350 crossover, and this was actually that pullback to the 200 to the 50 EMA, and this was a nice trade because we had an OB in sight. Amazing, guys. Look at that, a nice M formation and a clean drop, A clean job, guys. Clean job. All right, so do take your time to go and back test this. Right, it's there. I mean, 1350. Look at that. If you like trading US30, and there we go. Right, guys. I hope you guys have learned something from this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more of these videos and turn on the notification bell icon to be the first to watch when I upload any new content. Also check out our free Telegram channel. Find the link in the description below.